Almost no morning in my life during the week do I come to the conclusion that I'm not going to go to work. Something has to stop me from going into the office. And today, I wasn't sitting in the parking lot by myself on a Friday morning thinking about every excuse for why I didn't want to go to work. I tossed and I turned in bed. And at some point, my brain, probably surging with the leftover wow juice that I drank last night, I just realized that I just couldn't go today. And so it's very difficult for me to make that decision too. I don't make it lightly because I'm always afraid that I'm going to lose my job if I don't go to work. And I know people who live with that constant fear that they can't take a single day off. But today I threw caution to the wind and I decided that I wasn't going to go, but it's not like I wasn't going to work. And my first conversation with one of my coworkers today was in reference to people who transition from one type of job within technology to a different kind of job. Because this guy was a teacher for the company, and then he wasn't a teacher, and he just transitioned from the classroom to the office. And he said something to me today that I thought was really funny because I've known this my whole life since I've been doing the same kind of work since I was a teenager. Because I'm a self taught technology person. And because I'm self taught, it means that I had to figure it out before there was this thing called YouTube where you could go and punch in anything or Google things. Because now, anytime that I want to know how to do something that I don't know, I can go into the the YouTube and figure it out. When I was a kid and I'm dating myself, you used to have to look up things in books and learn how to do things. And that's gone. Even the way that we research and do things has changed so dramatically. Even my learning how to use what you guys are seeing up on the screen. Losing my YouTube channel forced me into a different style of video creation. And if you were with me before my channel got demonetized, you you know that I had over 2,000 videos on my channel. And when you've made 2,000 videos on YouTube, it is hard to come up with original content. But a person like myself, who has interests in a variety of things, because photography and literature have always been something that I really enjoyed, and I'm a highly educated college person. My background sometimes makes me wonder how I ended up still losing at life. But I'm going to come back to that point in toxic positivity at the end of the video. So today, as I sat in the park thinking to myself, I couldn't be enjoying this weather if I was sitting in the office with my head on my desk, wondering how much longer I'm going to be here. But it also reminded me of the following, and which is talking point number one. Senior level tech jobs require decades of hand on experience, not just technical knowledge. It's about developing instincts, learning from mistakes, and knowing how to solve problems quickly and calmly. That is the hardest part, I think, in technology, is that you have to be able to solve problems. One of the expressions that the president of the department would say to me a couple of years ago when I had to be moving the entire shop repeatedly was, you got to figure it out because that's the only way you're going to do it. And when you're in charge of so many different things, everything from logistics to purchasing to every aspect of a technology group, it is not an easy thing to do is to stay calm all the time. Especially when you just want to smack your Gen Z workers with a rolled up newspaper all the time. It's not their fault that they don't know how to work. It takes a long time to be good at something. And it's taken me decades. And I've been doing this type of work since I was a teenager. The only problem was that I was working at the university and I was also a university student at the same time. So I didn't have a full time job at the university. So I had to take these, what I would call gig jobs, student jobs, my entire life because I was always in school. And you can't really be in school and have a full time job. So I was getting taken advantage of almost my entire life as a tech worker that was a tech worker second and a student first. So I got to learn how to be a technology worker, not knowing that at the end of all of my education, that my education would be the sole reason why I wasn't going to be successful. Because as I've told you guys, I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time on becoming a highly educated person, but it never paid off. So we're moving on to talking point number two. Senior tech roles don't come with step by step guides. Every day presents new challenges, and the ability to adapt quickly without formal training is essential to success in these positions. No formal training. I think that's been lost with Gen Z because without formal training, they don't seem to know what to do. And case in point is my current Gen Z. This morning he called me because he needed to learn how to do something that should have been pretty straightforward, but the training, corporations aren't investing in their workers anymore. Even when I started at Kroger's in 2008, they sent you to a training store. And I believe mine was on Almond School and Warner Road. And you had to go there and they spent a day training you on how to push shopping carts, how to bag food, how to do all your entry level grocery store tasks. Well, since the turnover is so high, they have decided that they're not going to do training anymore. And that leaves so many millions of people with no formal training, but they still have to get jobs that provide them enough money and enough resources in order to build a life. And I think when you remove formal training from our society as a waste of money because corporations don't want to invest in workers. If you guys have taken anything from my channel in the last few weeks as I've talked about this, there is no investment on the side of the corporations. They want their workers to be as disposable as humanly possible, and that's why there are so many entry level positions in our society because they want to pay you to stay entry level for your entire career. My current Gen Z is a perfect example of this. He's never had a real job. And this job is the best job he's ever had it. And this job is one of the worst jobs he's ever going to have. Every day he comes to the conclusion that there's nothing here for him. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. The pay is deplorable. The hours are terrible. The mindless, repetitive tasks are never ending. Like he cringed yesterday when I told him he had to do one task 300 times. The same thing over and over and over again. And I was just like, you know what? Unfortunately, that's why you make what you make, and that's why I make what I make because I don't do that. My job is repetitive in a different way. His is more of the same exact thing every single day. And that's what entry level jobs are. No matter where you go in the job economy right now, you're going to find these low level jobs that don't require the decades of experience that I have. And you would think that a person who had this many decades of experience would be doing well. But again, there is no investment on the part of the corporation into its workers. We found out during the pandemic how disposable we are to the corporations. And for them to have the audacity to call us essential while at the same time people weren't making it. And that was the disposable part. That's when we truly realized how they felt about us. Because even now, executives and higher ups are telling the proletariat, the white collar proletariat, that there is a mandate to come to the office 5 days a week. And I have been fighting this for the last 2 years because I don't want to be in the office every day. I don't like coming to the office. I don't like being uncomfortable. Everything that I can do for my job, I can do sitting at my work computer at home. But there's a definite force to push people because, again, the corporation doesn't care if you're uncomfortable. The corporation doesn't care if you have to sit in an hour of stop and go traffic. You have to waste your gas. You have to waste money on clothes to come into the office. You have to waste your time just getting ready in the morning. Because when you work from home, all you have to do is literally roll out of bed into my chair and then I'm at work. Whereas if I had to go to the office, and I'm not saying myself because I live very close to mine, but I'm just talking in general, if you're commuting for an hour every day, plus having to get ready, plus having to waste money on food because you don't have time in the morning to prepare anything. At least I never had. And usually by the time I get to lunch, my motivation to eat the lunch that I brought is gross and I just want to go, I want to leave for a little while so that I can get out of the office. That's one of the main reasons why I go to lunch every single day is just to get out of that environment, to go be human somewhere and bring back something. You're still working at your desk, but but you get to leave for you get a break during the day. And in a higher level position, it's hard for you to take breaks. Even today, even though I'm technically out for as a sick day, I still took a dozen phone calls. I still answered a dozen emails, and I still was offline in the messaging app for the corporation. But I still took all of those things all day long. Why? Because you're a senior level employee. When you're not there, there's a problem. And that's the something you want to avoid is that when you're not there, there's no one else. There's no backup for my position. There's no one else that does what I do. And when you have too many people like that, because we have 3 or 4 people, I think we have 4 people that all do single jobs, that they're the only person that does this job in the company. And those people, even when they're on vacation, they're really not. Like, I remember my boss was on a Caribbean cruise, and he was using his Starlink in order to check messages while he was on this cruise ship. And I was like, oh my God. Even while you're on vacation, you're still at work. And that was me today. You're out sick. I told my boss this morning, I'm out. My back is killing me. I don't feel well today. And we've had guys who've been out for 10 to 20 days this year because of burnout, because they're being pushed so hard and they're not doing anything to take care of these people. They're just working them into the ground and then out they go once they get hurt. It's just like what Mello said about the Derby horses. As soon as someone gets hurt, you're out. All right, moving on to my third talking point because I've already wasted a lot of my time. All right, so this one's a big one. So, knowing who to call for help and navigating corporate politics are as critical as technical experience. I'm just going to add this. Today, one of the girls that works in the training program, she called me and she told me how happy she was that I bought her a new accessory that changed her workday. It made her life so much better. And I told her that, I don't work support. Support and those people on that side, those people do that job. Their whole job is to do that part. I don't do that part. That's not part of my job description. But I do it for the people who call me directly, the people that I know, the people that I see every day, because it's just a courtesy. And this girl called me, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday, and she told me that she had tried to contact the support people, but no one was contacting her back. And so I fixed something for her that took me just a few minutes. I bought her something, and she was so grateful for that that I was kind of like, kind of taken aback by it because most of the people that I work with are, and it's something I mentioned yesterday, don't have the best personality. In fact, one of the guys I would almost call a robot. He doesn't do anything unless it's specifically assigned to him, and he doesn't understand. He's like, I don't understand why you do that. And I'm like, because we're all, and I hate to say this because it sounds super corny, we're all on the same team at work. And the more connections you have around the corporation, the better. Like this morning, I got a call. The first thing that happened when I opened up my work computers, I saw a message from one of the executives who, like many of the executives, has decided to seek employment elsewhere. But he sent me a message saying, "Hey, Millennials team, my last day is Friday, and I need to drop off stuff with you." And he copied the president of my area, and I was like, "Wow, I got put above the president." And this has happened to me on several occasions where I look at my name and I'm there on the top line next to the executives. And I've been told that it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. But I think it's a big deal when your name is sitting right next to a chief officer because that's not normal. Day to day people don't have their names up there in that line. And I'm fascinated by this because I've never been a person that's been up there. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about today while I was in the park for an hour is that I really am a senior level person. I've never existed in a company where, I mean, I'm not paid like a senior level worker, but my name is next to people who make quarter million, $1 million a year as executives. And just to be there, I hate to say this, just kind of makes you wonder about how you got here. I think about that all the time. So let's skipping ahead to talking point number 4 and 5 really quick before I run out of time here. Learning from mistakes is part of the journey to become a senior level technology worker. These experiences teach problem solving, quick thinking, and how to cover up issues before they escalate. Again, this is something I've seen with that Gen Z lacks. They do not have the ability to think quickly, and they don't have that adaptability that I need in a person that works for me because I can't sit there and tell you what to do. I can't sit there and point to what you need to do. There has to be a learning curve where you just know what to do all of the time. Like, this is what fascinates me by the people, by my old friend Charlotte, who worked at the Starbucks. How does she know what she's supposed to be doing all of the time? Like, for me, this job is the first time in which I don't have a direct manager micromanaging me all day. I put an end to that. And I have to find, like, I have to like block out my time to do this and that and purchasing and and talking to the end users and talking to other departments and coordinating with presidents of other offices and all of these moving parts. And you just have to know because no one's going to teach you how to do these things. You have to be able to incorporate the tech part of your job as kind of like the backbone of the job, and then to be able to do every single other thing just by knowing that you need to do it, almost like by instinct. Because, as I've mentioned before, these jobs don't come with training, they don't come with manuals. My boss doesn't really know what I do all day. He just assumes that I don't do anything all day. But somehow it's been running smoothly for 3 years. So I must be doing something right. And my final talking point is going to be, beyond the technical knowledge, senior roles involve managing teams, coordinating projects, and communicating with non technical executives. This requires a combination of leadership and people skills that develop over decades. This is my first senior level position. And for my entire life, I was just a desktop support person. I've never bought anything before for a company. I've never spent $10,000 at Amazon on a monthly basis or spent thousands of dollars on logistics every month. But I do. And every month, everything gets done correctly. Every month, everything comes to. If you've ever worked in a corporation, you're familiar with accounts payable, right? You buy, and at the end of the month, the bill comes, and you've got to send receipts to get this stuff paid for. So every month there's a cycle. There's an open and there's a close, and you have to be able to close the end of the month, pay your bills, or the following month, if you didn't pay your bills from the previous month, the credit card's going to be declined. This has happened before, where someone didn't pay a bill and suddenly you're declined. It happened to me last year where someone in the accounts payable department wasn't getting a bill for a delivery service. So one day I logged into my delivery software and it said that you had been sent to collections. And I'm like, well, I don't deal with the money. I don't have a corporate credit card and they want $12,000. So I I had to figure it out. Again, this is what having to deal with a senior a position is. You've got to figure out when something doesn't work, whether it's money, the internet, technology, even people. When they don't work, you got to figure it out. You got to work around it, and that's something that is you. I don't think you can teach people this. I think that either you have it or you don't. It's like I was working. I spent an hour and 30 minutes today working out. I did a morning cardio session and I just got back from an afternoon session. According to my watch right now, I burned 1,200 calories today. How do you know how to do that? You just learn. You learn and you figure it out. Like, being a bodybuilder isn't just something you wake up in the morning and you do. You don't read a magazine to get these abs. You have to be able to think. You have to be able to in a sense coordinate your days in which you have the time to be able to look like this. Because after I got out of the gym this afternoon, I went to the nutrition store and they had protein popcorn. Protein popcorn. And this is something that it's the hardest part for me in bodybuilding, is getting enough protein every day, because I don't like eating large meals. I don't like eating after 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and I definitely don't like the taste of protein shakes. So finding protein popcorn was amazing. But again, coming back to my original point, is that you have to be able to do this. And this isn't just applicable to things like tech or bodybuilding. It's applicable to your life. You have to be able to create structure and follow through. When I get home from work, from the corporation, after my soul's been crushed and my nads have been kicked, I have to come home and I have to have the discipline to shut my brain off from being crushed to death emotionally by the corporation and be able to come here and be able to talk to you guys through these videos. Because I think these videos are important. I don't see people out there making videos like this. Most people want to listen to a guy like Dave Ramsey who's going to call you a loser for going to work. I'm going to call you a loser regardless. We're all losers. Unless you're rich, you're a loser. And I've come to terms with that. Which brings me to my toxic positivity ending. How did I manage to fail? I keep coming back to this same question on a daily basis on this channel. How did I manage to fail when I feel like I did everything right? I went to school, I got a tech job, I learned all kinds of other technology besides computers. I learned how to fly a drone, how to use a large camera, how to do cinematic shots with the GoPro. I know how to do all of these things, and yet, by all accounts, by all standards of our society, I have failed miserably at life. And I still can't come to terms with that. I may never be able to come to terms with the fact that no matter how much you try, and think about how much educational success that I've had compared to the average person that has one college degree. I'm a person with 4 college degrees that has failed because all of my degrees are in things that don't make money. But on top of that, I built my own technology career on top of all of my education, and I still failed. And that always makes me wonder, it's like, what chance does Susie Rottencrotch have at being successful? Practically none. How about Johnny Sixpack? If he didn't get what he needed to learn from his family growing up with educated parents that were already wealthy and that could show you how to use money. The biggest disadvantage to growing up poor is having parents that don't know what they're doing. They're spending their entire lives just figuring it out. It's like that movie that Mello sent me I think a couple months ago, where the kids end up working exactly where their parents worked and follow in their parents' loser steps. Why is that? Because they didn't know better. They couldn't tell their kids, it's like, don't do that. Don't be a loser. But if you're not being shown how not to be a loser, then inevitably you will be a loser by no fault of your own. You've been brought up to be a loser. And so have I. I mean, that's why I'm here right now telling you guys about it, because I want you to be aware that you're a loser. But it's not your fault. Your parents were losers. Your teachers were losers. Your professors were losers. Your religious leaders were losers. And then they expected you to somehow be successful when you're surrounded by the proletariat that is a known source of losers? Rich people don't hang out with the proletariat. And there's a big reason why. Because they're rich and they don't have to. The proletariat paints their nails, it lasers their butt hair, it cleans their homes, cleans their backyards. The proletariat does all of this, but it's understood that you're a loser. They acknowledge it, you have to acknowledge it, and at the end of the day, you have to close your eyes and go to sleep in your own bed and wake up and remember, when you're brushing your teeth, when you look in that mirror, you're looking at a loser. And that's something that I find very difficult to do, but it is what it is.